What's up everyone, I'm Callum on Toast, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about my experience at the Berlin Go Fest this past weekend, and as well, if that's not exciting enough for you, then I'm also going to be showcasing some battles in the Kanto Cup where I ran a full Autorekt team for a few sets. If you don't know what Autorekt is, it's when you delete any previously made battle parties and let Niantic choose the 3 Pokemon for you to use in each battle. This can lead to some very questionable team compositions, but it does make for some very entertaining gameplay. You're going to see one set in particular where every single lead I went up against core broke my lead, as well as one of the Pokemon in the back, so that was an extremely difficult set to try and overcome those battles. And I'm going to be honest, I wasn't able to overcome any of them. I definitely don't recommend you do this if you want to gain some elo, but if you want to have some fun and as well challenge yourself, then this is a great way to do both of them. Now, I did give myself one rule to make this challenge a little bit more manageable, and that was if Niantic did choose a Pokemon, I could substitute that Pokemon for the same species but perhaps with a different moveset, or maybe a double moved or more powered up version of that Pokemon to make it a little bit easier, because for some reason Niantic loves to pick 1300 CP single moved Pokemon when I've already got 1 or 2 other versions of that Pokemon that are double moved and powered up a lot more. So that was just one rule that I did to make this a little bit more manageable. I'm not actually going to be doing any commentary over the battles, so let's just move on to my GoFest experience now. So overall, I would say that my GoFest experience wasn't great. There are multiple factors that contributed, but ultimately my normal playstyle doesn't really align with what GoFest is all about. So over a long period of time, I've shifted my focus towards Go Battle League and doing challenges against Team Rocket, and away from some of the more common core gameplay aspects like shiny hunting, grinding dust, XP and candies, and as well as XL candies, also raiding, gym battles, etc. I gradually lost my love for some of these core gameplay features, but more so in the last couple of months. I rarely go out with the primary intention to catch Pokemon. Community days and the occasional spotlight hours are pretty much the only exceptions to that. For me, walking around and catching Pokemon for anything longer than an hour feels like a chore rather than a game. So obviously it was very difficult for me to maintain interest during a 9-hour Go Fest. A redeeming factor for me would have been the spawns. If there had been plenty of Pokemon that I really wanted to catch, it would have kept my interest up for longer, but unfortunately that was not the case. If I show you the spawns now, you're going to see what I mean. So the event was split into 4 different habitats. So starting off with the Electric Gardens, looking at these spawns, there was really only one Pokemon that I wanted to catch out of all of these, and that was a low CP female Combi, so that I would be able to evolve it into a Vespiquen that fit below 150 CP, so I could use that in potential future Sylph Flex 4 challenges. But otherwise, none of these spawns are particularly exciting for me. A lot of them I've already caught enough of to have one for Great League or Ultra League or whatever I want. And yeah, it's just disappointing to me. I don't really care about any of the shinies. Fungus is a new shiny, but it's absolutely useless, so what's the point? Looking at the Windy Coast, there's actually not a single Pokemon here that I care about. The only one that sort of possibly would be exciting is Binnacle or Binacle, but I've actually got a shiny of that already, so yeah, not too fussed about that. Going into the Living Meadows, once again, I don't care about any of these things, like it's not exciting to me. And then finally the Molten Rocks. I think the 3 most exciting Pokemon there are Granados, Shieldon and Dino, and we've just had community days or research events for all of them, so I don't really care. Of course, Cowboy Hat Snorlax is very exciting for a lot of people, but I'm not really a fan of costumes. I didn't actually have a shiny Snorlax before this, but I wasn't too fussed about that anyway. So yeah, once again, don't really care about any of the spawns here. So literally just the female Combi that was low enough to make a 150 CP Vespiquen. That was it, which is pretty pretty disappointing if you've paid and gone to a completely different country to take part in an event where you only really want to catch one Pokemon. But yeah, that's just unfortunately how it was. So of course you might be wondering why I even bought a ticket for GoFest if I wasn't interested in the spawns. Well, the problem is that to get an affordable hotel and flights, the best option was to book shortly after GoFest was announced. This unfortunately meant that there was very little information about the event at the time. If I'd have waited until we had a lot more information, prices would have shot up because there would have been a much greater demand. Alright, so now let's talk about the actual event itself. I managed to catch 26 shinies, which was, I think that's more than I caught during the 2-day Global Go Fest. I also didn't really put in much effort at all, so that tally felt a little generous and maybe undeserved, but I think the shiny rate definitely seemed higher than the Global Go Fest. So if you are interested in attending one of these in-person GoFest events in the future, the shiny rate definitely seems like it was much more worth it if that's something that you really care about. But like I said before, that's not really something that I care too much about anymore. Really, if I can use a Pokemon in PvP or for a Team Rocket challenge that has a shiny available, then that's a nice flex. But if I can't do that, then I honestly don't care about the shiny at all. But anyways, let's look at the shinies that I did manage to catch at the GoFest. So I got a Bellsprout, I got a Geodude, I got an Alolan Grimer, Krabby, Scyther, Aerodactyl. I did manage to get a cowboy hat, shiny Snorlax, but I don't really like costume Pokemon that much. I think I've already got a Snorlax for Ultra League, so yeah, I'm probably not going to use that. I'll probably trade it to someone who wants it more than I do, and I don't know, maybe I'll get something cool in return. I've got a shiny Ledybird, which was my first, but Ledium's pretty useless at the moment. Very nice stat product, but rubbish typing and moves. We got a shiny Marill, which I'm not going to use in a Azumarill anymore in PvP because it's kind of boring. We've got two shiny Unknowns, which I'm not going to do anything with, so I'll probably trade them out. Got a shiny Snubbull, and I've already got a few shiny Grambles and Charms Cancer anyway, so I don't use them very much. I've got shiny Quillfish, which is cool, but I already have a Great League shiny Quillfish with double moves, so not the best. Got a shiny Electrike, which has a very nice shiny, but I've got a Shadow Manectric, which I think I prefer anyway. Shiny Numel, the camera up is a very nice shiny, but its typing and movesets are pretty rubbish. Shiny Feebas, which is a bit of a meme. I think people would rather not click on Feebas than get a shiny Feebas. Got shiny Cranidos, two of them, and a shiny Shieldon, which would have been cool if we didn't just have that research event. Got two shiny Pansies, which are the new regional shinies available from the GoFest event. But like I said, they're not really useful for anything, so I'd probably trade at least one of them out. Maybe I'll try use one in the future for a challenge, but I'm not really sure. Shiny Fungus, which was another new shiny from the event, but it's pretty useless in PvP, so I'll probably trade that out as well. I got two shiny Alomomola, which I already had two of anyway, so not that exciting for me personally. And then I did get a low CP shiny Rufflet, which is kind of cool, a nice trophy, and I know that a lot of people do like level 1 shinies, so I'll probably trade this out to someone that wants it. And as well, I did also get a shiny Cottony, but as you guys know, I'm not really a fan of Charmers, so I traded that out straight away. But yeah, that was my shiny haul from the GoFest this event. 26 shinies, not as much as quite a lot of people in the community, having looked at Twitter and seeing people get like 50, 60, 70 shinies, but in all honesty, like I didn't put much effort in at all. So yeah, that was definitely a generous tally for me. So going into more detail about how the day panned out for me, I think I managed to last about 45 minutes before my phone battery started to drain like crazy. Even plugged into a portable charger, it was still going down way faster than it was charging. I've had this issue just a couple of times in the past, and I was really hoping that my phone could pull through just for this one event, but unfortunately, yeah, it didn't work like that at all, and I had to turn on my auto catcher, lock my phone screen, and just run the game in the background in hopes that my phone would charge up a little bit. But honestly, this wasn't the worst thing ever because I'd already started to lose interest just 45 minutes into the event. As part of the event, we got up to 9 free raid passes from spinning gym stops, but there were hardly any raids. Gyms were literally being flipped every couple of minutes, but there were multiple instances where there wasn't even a single raid on the nearby, despite there being roughly 20 gyms visible at all times. And this was crazy. Like, I'm not a raider, I don't normally raid at all, but if you were someone who really wanted to do the raids at GoFest, if you're someone who bought the add-on where you got extra raid passes, this would have been extremely disappointing because yeah, there were hardly any raids at all. I'm going to show you a little clip here, an example where there was only one raid on my nearby, and that was a mega raid, which wasn't even one of the featured raids of the GoFest. So yeah, I don't know what was going on there. Like, the amount of times the gyms were being flipped, the amount of gym activity, there should have been raids pretty much all the time on every single gym, but that was not the case. Now, as I said, I'm not really a hardcore raider or even a raider at all, but I did want to do a few Axu raids, hoping that I could get another shiny and then possibly use a shiny Axu or maybe a shiny Haxorus or Fracture in the Ultra League or Master League, depending on if I could do like a lucky trade or something like that. But there was only one Axu raid that I saw on the nearby for the entire GoFest event, which is just ridiculous. Also, there was a quest on the final page of the main research line where you had to complete a raid, and I've still not completed it yet because there just weren't any raids available to do, which is just like super disappointing because I'm not someone that raids normally, so I'm probably still going to take a while to get this quest done and finish this research line. But yeah, just raids in general, super disappointing, especially if you're someone that really likes to raid. Surprisingly, the game only crashed for me once in the entire event, which was actually after you catch the Shaman. So obviously, if you weren't aware that the game was going to crash at this point, then you might have been a little bit worried, thinking that maybe you didn't actually get the Shaman. But yeah, I think that was just a bug with the game that everyone experienced. So kind of stupid that like the main part of the event, catching the mythical Pokemon, crashed the game for everyone. But at least that was the only crash that I experienced, which is we shouldn't really be praising Niantic for only crashing the game once, but if you've played any of the other GoFests, you'll know that especially the in-person events, like a lot of the time the game just completely goes down for long periods of time where you can't get back into the game. So I think the game ran very smoothly, all things considered. There was one major issue though. Every time you moved from one habitat to another, the spawns would change and then they'd disappear as soon as you tapped on them. And this was super annoying because when you're walking around the park, you're moving between habitats very frequently, so this occurred very often. And there was also a point where my group sort of just stopped to chill for a little bit, and we were on one of the boundaries, I think, so the spawns just kept on disappearing every time we clicked on them. So we were only really getting incense and lure spawns. So yeah, definitely something that was extremely annoying. I don't think it would be very hard to just implement like a strict boundary where the spawns on one side are from this habitat and the spawns on another side are from a different habitat, rather than the spawns changing based on which side of the boundary you were on. But yeah, that was definitely something that was really annoying. I had a ticket for the Saturday, and fortunately the weather was really lovely for the entire day. It was sunny, but it wasn't too hot, and it made it easier to walk around the park and enjoy it without necessarily focusing too much on the game, which is always a bonus. The park was a bit of a weird shape, and obviously this isn't Niantic's fault, but it made it a bit confusing. There were certain tasks where you had to take snapshots of certain Pokemon in different habitats, but it wasn't super obvious which region you were in. There was themed confetti for the different habitats, but there were also lots of different regions that weren't actually part of any habitat and had normal confetti, so it made sort of the navigation kind of difficult and not as obvious as it should have been. The food options unfortunately were no good for me. I have celiac disease, so I can't eat anything containing gluten or anything that's cooked with other gluten containing foods, because there is a chance for cross-contamination. And most of these food trucks were fast food places with like pizza or burgers or something similar, and they didn't have any gluten-free options. Now, I didn't check every single food place, but it didn't seem like there was anywhere that I could have eaten, so that was a big disappointment for me. Now, a lot of people will tell you that the best thing about these in-person GoFest events compared to the global events is that it gives you a unique opportunity to finally meet some of the online friends you've made from all around the world, and it makes for a unique and special experience that you otherwise wouldn't have an opportunity to have. And for me, I really didn't make the most of this opportunity because I didn't interact with anyone. I didn't like reach out to anyone, contact them asking if like we could meet and talk or anything like that. I kind of just banked on the fact that I would hopefully bump into people that I knew and sort of get to know them a bit more, just have a chat and have a nice experience. But obviously, with it being such a huge event, such a huge park, so many people there, the likelihood of you actually bumping into people that you wanted to meet and talk to was actually very low. And like I said, unfortunately I didn't meet anyone that I knew, which was, yes, very disappointing, but it's my own fault. I didn't reach out to anyone, I didn't contact them letting them know that I wanted to meet them. And yeah, it just feels like a very wasted opportunity. Like, I've always felt like I am sort of an outsider within the PvP community. Of course, I do make GBL videos, but I didn't start this channel as a PvP channel. I started it off as a Team Rocket Challenge content channel, and like I've slowly sort of moved more towards the PvP side of things. But just in general, I've always felt like a bit of an outsider in the PvP community. I don't really get involved in a lot of the stuff that happens on Twitter. I don't really watch Twitch at all, so YouTube is really the only sort of platform that I get involved with. But even so, I watch a lot of content creators, but I don't really interact with them much because I try to focus more on my own channel and like making sure that the people that interact with my channel feel like they're at home on my channel and very much welcome and appreciated within my community. But then I don't really go and sort of interact with other channels and try to feel like I'm appreciated within their communities. And yeah, this was definitely an opportunity for me to try and feel more involved within the PvP community, and I didn't take this opportunity and I massively regret it. So in the end, my friend and I left the park around 3:30ish. I think the event lasted until 6 PM, so we definitely left with a good few hours still remaining. But to our surprise, we still had all of the GoFest spawns even outside the park, which I'm not sure if this was something that was communicated to us prior to the event, but it was definitely nice to still be able to play the event even whilst on our way back to the hotel and on my way to get some actual food that I could eat. And honestly, if I'd have known about this earlier, I probably would have left the park even earlier than I did, because it was definitely a struggle walking around for so many hours without being able to eat a proper lunch. So overall, I didn't have the greatest GoFest experience, but I still had a lovely weekend away. It was my birthday, and GoFest was kind of just an excuse to go on holiday with my friends. I can tell you for sure that we wouldn't have gone on holiday if it wasn't for GoFest, and for me it was the company that made this trip worthwhile rather than the GoFest itself. But really, if I'd have made any real effort to contact some of the people that I know from Twitter and YouTube to try and arrange to meet and just hang out, then I think this would have been a way better experience. But I've only got myself to blame for that, so what I would recommend is, if you want to experience the GoFest event in its fullest, then I definitely recommend you don't make the same mistake as I did and actually reach out to the people that you want to hang out with, rather than just hoping that you'll randomly bump into them, because that is not realistic at all. And yeah, with that being said, thank you all so much for watching and listening to me talk about my GoFest experience. I hope you also enjoyed the battles running in the background. I don't really know how many I've put into this video, so I might might extend this video without any commentary for like a few more minutes just so you can see some more battles. But with that being said, thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.